Thank you. Look at this evening. There's been a lot of talk of community. Julian, can we give this guy a round of applause? Not just because you're a good guy, but you got stamina.
Yeah, I give you that.
All right. We've heard the word community. I'd like to go back almost 100 years plus and say that there was a man who actually gave us the strategy to do what we want to do. His name was Charles Darwin, and what he said was, it is not the strongest, it is not the most intelligent, it's the most adaptable that will survive. If the people sitting here in this room and nobody else were available, I believe we could give the tiger another 20 years of life just because we put our energies behind that. But the key word is adaptability. Are we ready to adapt? और are we लकीर के फकीर? जो हुआ था वही करेंगे. अगर हमने वही करना है, तो trust me, the two things that require us to change will not happen. The first thing that requires to be changed is the attitude that we have as people who promote tourism. We have to change our attitudes. We have to change our attitudes and adapt to the circumstances that exist for a simple reason. I was there in 75, 76, 77, 78 when Project Tiger was at its ascendancy. It was called the most successful conservation project in the world in 1980. Much to the dismay of many doomsday merchants who said, "Ye to kuch hone wala nahi, Indians can't do anything." The truth of the matter is it was a partnership from people overseas and people here, and at that point in time we had people like Mr. Kailash Sankla, we had Anne Wright, I'm not going to name them all. But they took a simple strategy. They didn't go for the places that had the most tigers, they went for the most diverse habitats. And they said that if we look at the tiger as a metaphor for all of nature, and we protect a dry deciduous habitat, a mangrove swamp, a rainforest here, a broadleaf forest in Madhya Pradesh, then the chances are that in the name of the tiger we'll save the gene pool. The biggest enemy, this is direct words from Mr. Kailash Sankla, the biggest enemy at that point in the 70s, he said, were my own colleagues. Why? Because the British had left for us a very clear legacy. They said that the only good tree is a dead tree because it can be turned into a table or a door or a floor. And he said, no, this has a much greater value than just that. He said, the forest gives us water. I recall sitting with Kailash Sankla when he said that it's not just that the forest gives us water, but you cannot go to any village in Maharashtra where you have a community living that comes from the forest where there isn't a tiger temple. And he told me a little story himself. He said that one of the Warli villagers killed a tiger, and the tiger crawled up the top of a hill, and its blood flowed down the hill, and it fed the Nachni fields, and the Nachni crop flourished that year. Even though we killed the tiger, he gave his life for us. Even today, that worship continues, but we've snapped the relationship. I'm saying to you right now, if you take Kailash Sankla at one level and you take Darwin at another level, here is what is being asked of the professionals in here, both the forest officers and the forest community as well as the tourism community. Both have to adapt. It is not the job of the forest department to run a lodge. That is not the reason we started Project Tiger in 1973. We started Project Tiger in 1973 so you could protect the tiger from poachers, so that you could protect the tiger from fires, so that you could make sure that the habitat for the tiger was available to the tiger. By asking you to become a social activist or become a tour operator, we are trivializing your real service to the nation. वो कहते हैं इस धरती से तिलक करो, ये धरती है बलिदान की. तो मैं कहता हूँ कि आर्मी, नेवी, एयरफोर्स, कोस्ट गार्ड तो हमारे शरद को बचा रहे हैं. These forces are protecting our boundaries. Who's protecting the earth? It's you. It's the forest officers. You have to be recognized as the builders of India. It is not your job to make sure that my whiskey is served right. It is not your job to make sure that my beds are turned down right. It is your job to protect the tiger, and I believe that it is the job of people in the tourism business to make sure that they're responsible enough that the people who are supposed to protect the tiger can take their eye off the ball and not worry about the tourists. Because today, the India that I knew, the India that I fell in love with, the times that we spent, Jojo, for 10 days, 12 days, and every time we saw a pug mark, we would come back and celebrate. If we saw a piece of tiger shit, we would be ecstatic. There are tigers here, you know. And there was this ditty, I have to tell you this, I'll go slightly over the 5 minutes you've given me. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, I searched through grass, I searched through matti, all I found was tiger tatti. You know, क्या बात थी यार, आज हमने टट्टी देखी यार, ये भी कोई बात है. Now I'm saying to you, there are situations like this, Raghu, there was no damn tiger tatti in Panna. There was none of it damn well in Sariska. What happened? What changed? And how can we help? So here is the thing, we have to come at it from different levels. First of all, everybody and their son-in-law, mother-in-law and uncle know how to save the tiger now. Everybody knows how to save the tiger. What is the problem is they don't know why to save the tiger. The guys who know how to save also know why to save, but the guys who are taking the decision, whether in parliament or whether in a legislative assembly, they have no clue. National animal है यार, सेव तो करना चाहिए, बहुत प्यारा जानवर है, उसको बचाओ बचाओ, you know. It doesn't cut any ice. The truth of the matter is that 600 rivers are being fed in one form or the other. Either they originate from, I was speaking earlier, I said अमरकंटक तो नकली है, अगर जाना है तो बंजर और हलोन नदी को जाके देखो. Go and see these rivers in the Kanha National Park. That is the source of the Narmada, which the whole country is fighting over to build dams. न रहे बांस न बजे बांसुरी. When the forest goes, the sound of the flute goes with it. And I'm saying to you today that the task before all of us here today, whether you're a forest officer, whether you're a journalist, whether you're a tour operator, whether you're a lodge owner, whether you're a naturalist, is to turn tourism into a real conservation tool. And that will not happen. That will not happen if policymakers don't change their attitude, and it will not happen if the renegade tourism operators don't change their attitude. And it is necessary for the good people amongst us to get together and do the right thing. Now here is how I feel the future will be. Quite honestly, when we used to celebrate seeing tiger shit, we never realized then that the 2 weeks spent, we were listening to kingfishers, we were looking at langurs pulling each other's tails, we were walking down in the forest, we were hearing partridge in the morning, we were sitting by fires in the evening, and we fell in love. I cannot see a tourist falling in love with a tiger. It might as well go to Pigalle and see a peep show, you know. Tiger देखा? Tiger देखा? नहीं देखा? क्या देखा? अरे कोई कुत्ते थे वहाँ, ए भालू था यार वहाँ छोटा सा कुछ. One guy came across and said he saw honey badger. He said कोई काला सा था. Tiger देखा? नहीं, tiger नहीं देखा, बेकार हुआ यार. If that becomes the future of tourism, then none of you should put your money into tourism anymore, because you will not be able to survive. And I'll come to the close of what I'm saying by suggesting that there is a way out. Raghu, you were the one who told me and pointed out to me that the biggest mistake that we made in 1973, 74, 75 to 1980 was we never planned for success. All we wanted to do was to protect those 5 tigers in Ranthambore, 7 tigers, and now they become 50, 60, 70, I don't know how many. But when they grow, then they go out. And where do they go? They go into fields. So Bittu Sahgal, great guy, runs a magazine, Sanctuary, great, great, great. He's sponsoring this thing, tough, wonderful guys. But who's paying the price? It's the community on the outside. It's his cattle, it's his goat, it's his pigs, it's sometimes his daughter. When they say our, पहले तो अपना होते थे. Every animal belonged to the local people. अभी आपका टाइगर आके ये खा गया, आपके डुक्कर ने आके हमारी पूरी खेती को खराब कर दिया. I'm talking now from the experience of Maharashtra. It's the suicide capital for farmers in the world. Between Maharashtra and Andhra, there's a toss-up. Which area is going to commit more suicide in terms of the farmer sector? They cannot grow food there. Half the time in Madhya Pradesh, in many of these people, they're sitting, I've seen the women sit in Bastar with their saris out, and people take one container of grain and put it inside. They're doing food for work. So there's nothing to do with food security, it's to do with survival. So what we're suggesting is that let the forest officers do. Mr. Sahu should continue to protect Ranthambore. But the outside of Ranthambore is like somebody's taken a razor and shaved the head and turned it into something like this. We need that land on the outside to come back to forest status. And if we don't turn farms to forests, then every tiger that's born today and every cute little tiger picture we see of a cub, that tiger is not going to either grow up, or he will kill, or there will be attacks, or there will be problems, either internecine problems or otherwise. So Sanctuary Nature Foundation, 38 years we've run a magazine. We've never taken a donation ever for 38 years. We've turned ourselves into a foundation. In part it's because I feel that when I go, the magazine should still be around, but the magazine belongs to every one of you right now. It's a not-for-profit, and one of the first tasks we've set ourselves is that we want to start what we call cocoon conservancies. Cocoon is community-owned, community-operated nature conservancy. So Cocoon Conservancy. Now I'm not particularly keen to go into a bed where somebody slept in it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and served me tea with his fingers inside there. They don't know how to do that. But even the best of people like the Oberoys, when they decided that they're going to do business, they ran something called Oberoi Sheraton. Oberoi owned the hotel, Sheraton ran the ran the hotel for 30 years, and that is the future of tourism in India today. If you want the community to be positive towards tourism, you have to give them a piece of the pie, and knowing your economics, you're not going to be able to do it from 30% occupancy of rooms. You're only going to be able to do that if you change the experience of the tourist. If I have to wait over there on the outside as the 30th jeep waiting to get in and everybody is going to see Choti Tara, I'm not going to be able to have an experience of any sort other than, listen, I want to watch a bird. No, Choti Tara's there. So instead of that, what I'm suggesting, we turn farms to forest, we get people to aggregate their lands, and when they aggregate their lands, 100 acres, 400 acres, 200 acres, it depends on the place, they invite the best operators to come in and say, build a lodge the way you would build a lodge, build a homestay the way you would build a homestay. On the day you build it, give it to me. It belongs to me, but I'll give you a management contract for 30 years. In that 30 years, I don't think there's any lodge that I know of in India that has operated non-stop for 30 years. Within 30 years, you have an option to renew. And in the event, whatever you make as a profit, I can assure you, you will steal customers away from the people who are sitting in Dhakuli right now. I don't want to hear dhak, 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 ek, do, teen on New Year's Eve. I want to hear bird sounds. I want to hear night jars. I want to go out and I want a chance to see a hyena. If you have a 400-acre place where a person can sit down under a banyan tree, have breakfast in the morning like we used to in Jogi Mahal, then the chances are the experiential advantages will come to you, and the guy, you can give a guy a head massage and put rose petals in his bath and manicure his toes, but at the end of the day, when he comes back from the forest, he's got no wildlife experience to speak of, and many of the people in this audience here have already started doing that. Here, there is very little role for government to play. The Wildlife Protection Act allows any forest officer, any forest guard to walk through your property right now in case he's worried about a trap here or poison there, because a poacher might start a lodge and say that, look, this is what I'm doing. So I'd like to suggest to you right now, this is not the time to do this. We've had one early consultation with a number of people. We would like to work with the tourism operators, with the lodge operators. We would like to work with the forest officers so that the outside of the cores become healthy, so that you're not sitting in a situation where you're forcing 40 jeeps to go into an area which should actually see only 5 jeeps or 10 jeeps. If you start spreading it, and also I think it's about time we stop calling people to see the tiger alone. The Royal Society for the Protection of Birds sends out more people out of England than they ever send out to watch tigers. They're watching birds. Why aren't we calling the bird watchers? Because we haven't catered to them. So I believe that we have to change. I believe that we can change. I believe that we will change. And in the process of doing this, let's not wait for somebody to pat us on the back and say, you guys are good guys. You know, you're actually, that guy's a bad guy. Let's just make sure that we tackle the real problem. The tiger does not need our love. He needs our protection and he needs space. The local communities don't need our goodwill. They need incomes. We are not equipped to do that. We will have to go to socially active people who know what the villager wants, and make sure that social upliftments, collateral benefit happens to be biodiversity renewal and not biodiversity destruction. It's as simple as that. It's not difficult. We've talked to 12-year-olds. They understand it. I've spoken to, I would say, on an average about 30 in the last 6 months, 30 lodge owners. They have understood it. From Kashmir to Sundarbans, to Kaziranga, to Madhya Pradesh, to Maharashtra, to every place including Kutch, the people are just ready right now to do this. It requires for us to get together. It requires a body like yours. It requires professionals like you. Give yourselves 3 years, 5 years. Change your reputation from people who are exploiting wildlife to people who are actually protecting wildlife by allowing the core areas to give us the animals. We don't even have to buy them like you have to do in South Africa, Jules. Thank you.